And what we've done today is to bring some friends from Peter Jackson's team out here to talk to you about how they did it. So joining us all the way from Middle Earth, editor Jabez Olson and first assistant editor Dan Best. Come on up, guys. Thank you very much for taking what I know was a very long journey from Wellington, New Zealand to Las Vegas.
It was, yes.
Hopefully you're finding something to do here in Las Vegas.
That's right.
What I wanted to start off with is really just how the project came about. Obviously Peter had done Lord of the Rings, but how did the idea of doing The Hobbit come about, and what sort of questions were asked in that meeting?
Well, I mean, I think obviously it had always been discussed after the success of Lord of the Rings about doing The Hobbit one day, and as is quite widely known, originally when the project came back to Peter, he was going to produce the film and it was going to be directed by Guillermo del Toro, who actually spent 2 years with us down in New Zealand, and that was actually my beginnings on the project, was cutting previous sequence for Guillermo. But then when he moved on and eventually Peter decided to direct himself, because that was quite a major change really, because originally neither Dan nor myself were going to actually work on the actual feature film. So we did have to scramble a little bit with slightly less preparation than might normally have, but it was all good, and it's been a 4 or 5 year journey.
So 5 years, 3 films. How did the production break down? Did you actually just go out and shoot without a break, and then how did editorial play along with that?
Yes, it was an 18-month main unit shoot for all 3 films. Later on, we did do a 2-month pickup shoot. What was that, about a year later, after after the first film was out, while we were cutting the second film. Partly, the challenges, of course, is as you can set out with your scripts and start shooting for 18 months, but it's not till we can really get the director in the cutting room that what we have is known, and so there's a lot of work, structuring and changing the story and working things through. Of course, the other fairly widely known thing is that it was originally 2 films, which got adapted into 3 films. So that was obviously part of the pickup shoot involved.
Where in the process was that decision made to switch from 2 films?
That was during late towards the end of the main unit shoot, I believe, yes. My memory is a little hazy because it's been 4 years. So that involved, quite a bit of work, and a lot of that was done in the cutting room, seeing what we had, how it would work.
So there wasn't an actual, obviously there was the change from 2 films to 3 films.
Yes.
But did you, in terms of post-production, just look at it as one big project?
It was always one big project. In many ways, like a television series or something, we had one team, and we, which was different from what we did on Lord of the Rings, where we had a separate editor for each film. But in that case, it was known that it was going to be 3 films from the outset. So with The Hobbit, I ended up cutting all 3. And there was many changes from Lord of the Rings, which was, being 10, 15 years ago, was all standard definition for our Avid projects. We were PAL-based films, so every time we went to do an output, we were running at 25 frames a second, so we had to choose whether to speed up the film or to repeat a frame every second. So that's one of the great things about what we have now. It's all in high def and it runs at the right frame rate, which helps.
So on any project, organization is key to having come out successful. And in this one, where it's just so huge, and you're sort of in a way still trying to figure out, things are in flux, things are changing as you're...
Yes, it was, a lot of rushes, a lot of material, not just the live action material, but also previs, motion captured, previs, work in progress visual effects. We can show some things soon to illustrate that a bit more. But that's really, 3 films to start with, 3 big films, and just the amount of material, the complexity, organising it all, was really the challenge. Especially when you're trying to restructure scenes and work the story in different ways, try different possibilities. And the speed in which you can find things is of the utmost importance. That's what it's all about. For example, if Peter had said, "Oh, remember that shot? We shot 2 years ago, and we've long since thrown out of the film." And we have a look at that. If I had to dive into the paperwork to try and find that, everything would grind to a halt. So